Hey, it's Bronze and Modern Gods. It's John.
And Richard.
What is going on, Richard?
Well, not much. How you doing out there in sunny California?
I'm doing okay. I feel like we talk and do segments every night of the week lately.
Yeah, this is our fourth night recording for those who don't know.
It's a good thing we get along, okay? Hey, if you like us, we like you. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Bronze and Modern Gods. If you like what you see on these videos, hit like, subscribe if you haven't already, hit the notification bell so you know when stuff is going down. And if you listen on the podcast platforms, there are a lot of you doing that lately. I don't know what's up with that, but God bless you. Maybe you're driving to work. Leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform, and that would be quite cheery of you. Cheery?
Cheery. Awesome. It'd be awesome of you.
Awesome of you as well. Hey, our main topic today is show and tell. We haven't done a show and tell episode in quite a while, and we've been gathering stuff as cheaply as we can.
Trying to.
It's not as cheap as you think, but we have a lot to show you guys, a lot of stories to tell. We've got a special guest today, Bruce from BZ Comics, to tell us about a very special comic book related event to save live venues, music venues nationwide, which would be very cool. 25-year rule returns and our underrated books of the week. But first, our hot book of the week. Richard, what is it?
Our hot book this week is something that I've been keeping an eye on. It's The Nice House on the Lake, #1.
Published by Redfin?
No. It is a Black Label DC book. It's the first all-original story. It's yet another James Tynion book. This guy just seems to be on fire right now. He's writing for everybody. He must be using both hands, writing at the same time.
Unstoppable, this guy.
Definitely unstoppable. The story is very interesting. When you look at the cover, the A cover is my favorite, where you've got a young woman who's peeking out of a lake that is filled with skeletons around her, and it's pitch black, creepy as hell. But that's my favorite cover. The story is really interesting. It takes a twist I really didn't expect, and I'm looking forward to seeing how the story continues. As with all of his books, he always kind of leaves you at that cliffhanger to go into the next issue.
You know, I was dying to read it, but it was sold out everywhere here. Every shop was out of it. I don't know if it was under ordered, if there was a lot of advance hype behind this.
I was prepared this time. I buy my books through an online site. I bought 10 copies of this thing,
man,
before FOC. So I've got a bunch of them coming in, and I took a gamble because it's James Tynion. You might as well at those prices. So we'll see. I mean, the A cover is what I personally like. John, you seem to like the Gallagher variant cover.
Well, I like it because I like what's happening with it on eBay. The pre-sales for that Gallagher variant are anywhere from $60 to $80. So I'm not sure if that's I should have done a little more research. Sorry, it's been a busy week. If it's a store variant or something like that, but it seems to be very popular on a lot of spec lists.
Yeah, I'm thinking this is not a small print run. But it did sell out immediately, as you mentioned. Well, it doesn't read like a normal DC book. Of course, it's Black Label. There is a definite overtone, an adult overtone to this story.
Right.
So we'll see more heat behind this book, in my opinion. People are thinking, Department of Truth. People are thinking,
something is killing the children.
Yes, people are thinking something's killing the children. So James Tynion right now is on fire, and he has struck it out of the park with each book he's written. So people are banking on this being another one of his success stories.
Can we give props to DC for publishing something in this format that is not Batman related?
Definitely. The Black Label, I thought I could kind of given up on, because it really, to me, it was a mature opportunity for DC to step out of their traditional role, and they just really didn't exercise it very well. This book reads like a independent book. So it's definitely a flavor that I'm glad to see that DC is taking a chance on, and hopefully you'll see more books like this from them.
It's interesting and actually kind of revealing that you say it reminds you of an independent book, because to me, it looks like a Vertigo title
Mm,
from back in the day, which tells you how far away from Vertigo DC has gotten, where they had that cachet. Vertigo was a brand, it was a brand you could trust. You know, it was like Wax Trax Records. You knew it was going to be good, no matter what.
pulling out the wax track reference. That's
Oh,
that's
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 for the 5 of you out there that will get that. But it's true. You know, there were certain brands that you knew it was going to be a slam dunk no matter what. Yeah, I don't know why they let that brand just die on the vine. I understand it doesn't make sense to revive it now, because what would it mean to this new generation? But it's really encouraging to see DC taking a chance on something that is not Batman, something that is not Superman related. It's
You
interesting.
think you think Jim Lee has anything to do with this in terms of the direction?
I think maybe James Tinian has a lot to do with it, with
Oh.
Flout. You know,
Mm.
if I was DC and I had this guy hitting these home runs over and over again, I'd do everything I can to keep him in house.
Yeah, it's like LeBron. Let him do what he wants to do.
Yeah, do that over there. So check it out. I do think there are still copies in the warehouses, in because I was able to go to my shop, and they're getting reorders in. They say they're still first prints, so we'll see what happens on Tuesday when they get them in. Hopefully, we'll get a copy. But yeah, it seems to be a book that's caught a lot of fire.
Keep an eye out for this title.
Yes. Okay, moving on to things that we're keeping an eye out for. Our main topic, show and tell. This is where Richard and I just sit back with you guys and nerd out about the books that we picked up in the last few months, and tell maybe some hopefully interesting stories about each one and why. And I can't wait, Richard. I have to start off
Oh,
first.
go ahead.
I'm really excited to share the first one, because you guys have been part of this journey and you've heard me mention it. I don't think I've ever shown it, though. I finally got a copy of Yellow Claw.
I am so happy for you. I know you have been looking for that book forever.
It kind of was impossible for a while. I mean, it was literally a few months where there were no copies on eBay. I had alerts set up. I was on IG going in every live sale. It became a running joke with people like Golden Age Guru and Ali, where there would be someone on. I would say, "Is there a Yellow Claw #1?" And I go, "No, John, there's no Yellow Claw #1." And this appeared on eBay, and you were part of this conversation, Richard. I was texting you. This appeared, and then 2 others appeared the same week on eBay. There were 3 copies at one point on eBay after. When it rains, it pours.
Right, right.
This is a 3.5, but no case. Someone had cracked it open, but the bag itself, the inner well, is still sealed. It is a 3.5. You know, it's nothing to write home about, but I'm debating. You tell me what you think, Richard. It looks like it's been pressed. It was slabbed in February of 2010. So pressing was around then. It looks like it's been pressed. I don't think I can press it any better than it is now, but I do think I can clean the grease pencil.
Ooh, okay. How did the staples look?
Staples look fine. It looks pretty secure. No rust on the staples. They're actually on the back. So if you look, the staples are not centered on the spine. They're actually on the back cover. So I would be nervous to press it anyway with. But I think, I've seen people remove grease pencil. I'm debating. I'm not sure yet.
The grease pencil, I think you could be successful at removing without damaging the cover. That's intriguing. Risk versus reward, right?
Yeah, and what I like about it is there's a little pencil mark here where they wrote in the date, 1956. I don't know if that's an actual arrival date or if somebody bought the book later in its life and said, "Oh, I need to mark what year this book is," and wrote it on there. But I have one, a 3.5. I'll upgrade eventually, but I'm super happy with that.
So do you have a 2 and 3 as well?
I have a 3 and a 4, so I need to get a
Okay.
2 still, and then I will have the complete run of 4 issues.
Well, good for you. I'm glad you managed to track that book down. I know it was a grail of yours.
Thank you. What do you have?
I've got a variety of books here. My first book is Department of Truth, #1. This is the foil edition. It's kind of hard to see.
Oh,
There
yeah.
you go. Uh, it is absolutely gorgeous. This is yet another James Tinian. We just he rules this whole podcast.
Special episode, special team.
James Tinian tweeted out that these were available on his website. It was limited to 75 sold.
Wow.
With more copies that were going to be available later on during the con season at various conventions. But at this point in time, there are only 75 copies of this book out in the wild. Like I said, it's a gorgeous copy. I love that cover. So I happened to track it down on eBay as well. It was a little bit difficult, but eventually I came across a copy of it. There's 24 copies on the census right now. So out of the 75, 24, that's really interesting. It's really going to be difficult to determine what the print run for this book is.
Yeah.
Because he says there's 75 out now and there's more coming. It's you roll the dice on a book and you buy it this early in that kind of release cycle. So more coming could be another 1,000. It could be another 200. We really don't know until hopefully he's more forthcoming with what's available. It's only been 4 sales at all, and on GPA. The high was 685. I paid about 600 for it, and I bought it because I like the cover.
Right.
If I'm going to have a Department of Truth #1, I want it to be something special, and so that was the real purpose of the purchase. But if he doesn't release any more copies for some various reasons, or the number that's released is low, that $600 investment could end up being worth a sizable amount.
Yeah, especially when the TV show hits. Like, I assume you're going to sit on it for a while.
Oh yeah, you know me. I'm Mr. Patient. I'll sit on books for 3 years if that means I'll maximize how much money I'll make off of it. And in the meantime, I'll enjoy the book.
It's not a very effective way to press the books by sitting on them for 3 years, but I think it works.
Slow but sure.
I'm here for your dad jokes. Oh, all right. My next ones, I have a pair of books that are actually part of what I consider a trinity. The first book of the trinity I already had. I had a nice copy of Marvel Tales #1, the first Marvel annual that reprinted the first origin stories of many of Marvel's big guns. But I also got Marvel Collector's Item Classic #1, which reprints Fantastic Four #2, Spider-Man #3. This was the second Marvel annual reprint title. And Marvel Superheroes #1, which is the third Marvel reprint annual. This reprints the first Daredevil, Avengers 2, a really cool Golden Age Torch versus Subby story. And these 3 books, you and I grew up in the era of Marvel's reprint titles.
Right. Right.
Many reprint titles, right?
Oh, classic X-Men and yeah.
Marvel double feature, Marvel triple action, and I love these reprint titles because as a kid I couldn't afford the originals, and I love Jack Kirby and Stan Lee. This is what formed me and formed my taste. So they're not hugely collectible, but I think they're really undervalued. I really think they're you see things like milestone editions selling for hundreds of dollars. Why aren't these selling for hundreds of dollars? These are
I totally agree with you. I have that Marvel Tales #2. I picked it up at a garage sale for $20. It's not a great copy, but it is my copy, and totally love those early reprints.
I love that you got it at a garage sale. I mean, that's a great story.
Yeah.
What's your next one?
My next one is going towards the Star Wars genre. Anybody who knows me knows I'm a huge Star Wars nerd, and one of my favorite characters, I remember reading about him when the book came out back in the late 70s, and that is Thrawn, Grand Admiral Thrawn. Here's the book. This is his first solo story, a series. It is a 6-book limited series. This is the Matina variant. This is the 1 in 50 variant for that particular title. It is gorgeous. I love this cover. The blues are so rich, and yeah, Matina did an excellent job with this cover. So I looked it up on Comicron. There are 52,000 copies of the first print for this book.
Right.
So at most, there are 1,000 copies of this 1 in 50 out there. But that's assuming that everybody bought 50 copies of this book to get a copy of this, which we know did not happen.
Yeah, and we also know that print runs have to be at a certain minimum. And we've had this discussion a few episodes ago where we don't really know what the print runs of these 1 in 25s and 1 in 50s or these 1 in 1000s, because I found 1 in 1000s in Walmart packs.
Right.
Well, obviously, there are extra copies sitting in a Marvel warehouse somewhere, and they're being repurposed. So it's interesting. I love the fact that you got a 1 in 50 of a book that I've never heard of.
Yeah, this book really took off. I was looking up GPA, and as late as October 2020, that was $1,000 book.
Wow.
As of December of 2020, it jumped from $1,000 to $2,000.
Holy.
Mainly on the Ahsoka Tano said Thrawn's name.
I know this. She said his name on that TV show on Disney Plus.
Exactly. Ever since she said his name, his keys have really just gone ballistic. I ended up paying $1,900 for this book off of an alternative site. There are a couple of websites that I look at whenever I'm looking for rare books, and this one showed up there. The last sale is $2,200 for this book. The 90-day average is $2,100. So it's a pricey book, but if he shows his face on any Disney property between now and the next 20 years,
you're gonna be like Scrooge McDuck.
Right. That $2,000, $1,900 investment is really going to it's going to take off. So, but again, I love this cover. This book I bought for me, regardless of its selling potential. It's a part of the PC until it's not.
You're kind of like Scrooge McDuck already. You're in the basement with your vault. You're like swimming in slabs.
Oh, yeah.
A diving board where you can dive into the slabs. And okay, Scrooge, congrats. My last one, I had to say, I had to bring this one because I have not mentioned Quasar in a few weeks. I've been good. I've been very good. I can't help myself. I got a copy of Marvel 2-in-1 number 53, if I can find the light. There it is. This is the first use of Quasar as a main logo in a comic.
Oh, awesome.
He had appeared before. He's had appearances, but he's never been cover featured like that. And this is it. Besides that, this is the start of the Project Pegasus storyline, which is a big favorite story of mine when I was a kid. It ran for 6 issues. I was a weird kid. I liked Marvel 2-in-1. It was one of my favorite titles. I don't know why. Because, Ron Wilson was not the most talented artist. I guess he was, I don't know, I'm being mean, but it was kind of like a B-level title. But then Perez came on board. This is George Perez, Ralph Macchio, and Mark Grunwald started writing it, and it just kind of took it to another level. And this storyline's been reprinted several times, so it is a classic. The best part of this book is this is a super high grade 9.8 candidate.
Wow.
I got for $3.
Oh, is this a long bin, dollar bin pickup?
This is digging through the M's on some store, an LCS. Not only did I get it for $3, I got my 20% off discount.
There you go. You're building up that guilt, aren't you?
I know, but hey, It's not like, it's not like it's $100 book or anything.
No, no.
It's rare to find something from 1979
Right.
that's a 9.8 candidate hanging out in the long box.
Oh,
Just
absolutely, absolutely, and it means something to you. It's the definition of personal collection. My next choice is a book that you actually alerted me that it was available.
yeah, to apologize to your wife.
uh, and I'll just show it. It is
Uh,
Marvel Superheroes number 20. This is the first solo story for Doctor Doom as a 9.6 white pages.
how does that book exist?
I don't know. There are only 11 9.6s on the census, 3 9.8. So high grade books of this particular issue are really hard to come by
Oh yeah.
because it's a square bound book. You got all that black cover that you've got to protect. So it's a really, really tough book in grade. So this book came up on one of our friends of the show, Elite Comics 11. It came up on one of their listings, and John immediately pinged me.
I was
And
texting furiously. My thumbs have not moved that fast.
and I looked at it and I debated about it because it is expensive, as is 9.6s of any books of that age. It was expensive. I tried my best to negotiate a lower price, but it turned out there was some competition that was also trying to negotiate, and I said, "Screw it! I want this book. I'll pay the $3,500 that they're looking for." List, gulp. Um, but I do not regret it. It is easily my favorite book. Obviously, I have anybody knows me. I have a good 12 copies of it.
Anyone that's listening to this podcast.
Oh boy, yeah. So it's kind of like my end game. So I'm never gonna get a 9.8 just because 9.8s are just so rare. But the 9.6 is an excellent book. It lets me end my search for the Marvel Superheroes 20.
How do you feel about the fact that you paid the same price for that book that you did for your 3.5 Fantastic Four #5?
That's crazy. I remember seeing this book at a 9.6 for $1,700 back around the same time.
Hmm.
And I didn't want to pay that at the time. I wish I had.
Yeah.
But at the same point, I didn't pay that money for that book back then. And I used the money to buy the Fantastic Four #5. And that book is now a $14,000 book. So it was a wise use of money.
You see what
And
happens. Exactly.
yeah. So all it's all fairy tales come true eventually. So this is a part of my PC for the duration. A lot of my books are always, they're a PC, but they'll be for sale if the right price comes up. I ain't selling this one.
No.
And the same with the Fantastic Four #5. That's going to be buried with me.
I don't blame you. Thanks for sharing. I have one last one that
Oh yeah.
I didn't put this on the list, but I
Mm.
thought you would enjoy it. I thought definitely the people watching would enjoy it because it's very unusual. It's something you don't see a lot. And I saw it on the wall of an LCS, and it was like, I saw it in the window and I just had to have it.
Mm.
And that is Howard the Duck #2, the Run the Jewels variant.
I have never seen that before.
I had never seen it before either, and I love it. I'm going to get this bad boy slabbed, and eventually I'm going to hang some shelves and put it on my wall. But, it's a hip hop variant, but it's not part of the hip hop variants.
Huh,
That
that's
makes
interesting. Yeah.
time. So, very cool. I have to wonder what Steve Gerber would think. Is that in character for Howard? I also think if Steve Gerber was around, he'd probably want to parody that kind of culture and that kind of stance. So, I'm, God bless you, Steve. We miss you. We love you some Howard the Duck. All right, let's move on to our next segment with a special guest. I know this guy because he lives here in Southern California. I run into him at shops. He comes to our live sales on Instagram, and instead of mailing his books, I always meet him in a parking lot somewhere. and do like a transaction, make sure no cops are around, that kind of stuff. His name is Bruce. You can follow him at bz.comics on Instagram, and he is here today to talk about a very special fundraising event that marries my two worlds, comic books and music. And here he is now. Let's say hello to Bruce, bz.comics on Instagram. Bruce, what is going on, buddy?
Hi, John. Hi, Richard. Thank you guys so much for having me on today. How are you two?
I'm feeling very continental. I see I'm in California. Richard's in Ohio. You're in New York right now.
Yep.
So I'm going to run most of this because poor Richard's been out of the loop here. But jump in anytime, Richard, with any questions you have. This is a really cool thing you're doing for live music venues here in Long Beach, where I'm based. There is a bar that you and I are both very, very familiar with. You probably more than me these days.
Yeah, Alex's Bar. Super. It's been open since 2000. And even if you're not living in Long Beach and you have seen the movie Tenacious D's Pick of Destiny, the bar that they play at, that's Alex's, or the parking lot where they fight Dave Grohl the Devil. That's actually where the event's going to be held. And also True Blood, the vampire bar in True Blood is Alex's, but it's an iconic punk rock venue. And yeah, it's a fantastic place. I can go on and on, but
well, I like what you're doing. They've been suffering, obviously, over the last year with all the shutdowns. They're starting to reopen, and you had an idea for a fundraiser to keep this really iconic punk rock music venue alive.
Yeah, so I'm a huge fan of comics. I've got back into collecting, and there hadn't been any con because of the pandemic, right? So I thought, well, how do we make something that not on that scale, but I wanted to make something that's free for the public, that even though the event is on Saturday, June 12th, a few days before Earth opens back up, we're still going to be masks, mask up, mask on, we're going to be adhering to COVID regulations. But I thought we could do a Save Our Stages event. And so what I did was I went to about 7 or 8 local comic shops in Southern California, and I just pitched the idea to them and said we'd be looking for donations because we want to do a silent auction and have all of the items for auction. The proceeds will go towards Alex's Bar to help keep him open. And also there will be 4 comic shops there selling comics, toys, what have you. And we've even got some iconic punk rock icons. Like if you know the band The Descendants, like Milo Goes to College, and Chris Sherry's the artist, and he is donating a Descendants skate deck that we're going to auction off. And Tokyo Hero, the Motorhead cover artist and Foo Fighters apparel, and he's done some work for them. He's going to also be there, and he's made this awesome Godzilla graphic art that we're going to sell prints that he'll sign and number for folks. So
you've got vendors there that are going to be selling some comics. You've got some artists there doing some cool things. You're bearing the lead. You're going to have the best guest ever there. Who is that?
I am. I think there's this cat that has this show called Bronze and Modern Gods.
Oh, stop it. Stop it.
Forget it. I'm going to be there. We're going to be streaming live. We'll have a special live mini episode there. Well, I'll have some surprise interviews and some things going on there. Now, I really wanted to have you on this show because I know it's a local thing, but I think what you're doing, because I work in music on my day job. I love live music. I love live music venues. I've seen the staff and the people suffering. I think you are creating a template that could be used by others nationwide to help their local live music venues.
Absolutely. And I would be absolutely open, no fee needed. If they wanted like a little guide on how to get this going, just to walk through it, I'm more than happy to have them DM me through BZ Comics at Instagram. You can hit me up. I think it's a great idea because these shops and venues, look, I mean, it's kind of peanut butter and jelly, punk rock folks like Dave Grohl, huge comic book head. There's tons of people out there that love comics and want to help keep their venues open. So why wouldn't you do this?
Great crossover fandoms. Let's remind everybody, Comics for a Cause, Alex's Bar, Long Beach, Saturday, June 12th, starting at what time?
starts at 4 p.m. and it goes till it's over, you know, so 9:30 or 10. But I made it free. It's free to get in. And starting on Tuesday, June 8th, I'm going to start posting items for people to bid on. Now, keep in mind, it's pickup only. I'm not shipping because we're trying to get the attention to Alex's bar. So it wouldn't be fair to have it shipped all over, you know, this green earth, right? So, but you can DM me. You can say, hey, you know, I want to bid on that Defenders #1 that John from Bronze and Modern Gods donated.
I think it's a Defenders #1 9.6. Let's not bury that lead either.
And we're going a little inside baseball. So you'll be the first to, I'm not sure when this is airing. Is this going to be the Friday show or
it's going to be on Monday? It is Monday.
Oh,
let's pretend it's Monday right now.
Your listeners are the first to know that we're going to start the bidding for that Defenders #1 9.6 at $200. Now, if you know anything about comics, that's that's well above worth $200. So that's where the bidding's going to start. And you can DM me.
I'm going to back.
Yeah. Just shoot me the DM and go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm kidding. I see what you're doing. You want to get some people excited. You guys, if you live in Southern California and you do not come and at least bid on that Defenders 1 CGC 9.6 for $200, I'm going to hunt each one of you down.
But hey, I just got to tell you guys, I've been a huge fan of your show for a while. Getting back into comics and learning how to be a comic collector and fan again, you two were pretty much the main reason that I've been relearning, getting my footing again. I'll give him a shout out. Caesar from Torpedo Comics, who works there, told me about your show. And
okay.
I've learned how to press books from this show. I've learned how to be a slave to FOMO. You know, I've learned to just collect what you like. And if it happens to blow up, then that's great. And I throw it on you guys.
You can give. And wow, I really appreciate that. Ladies and gentlemen, Bruce from BZ Comics, make sure you come out and say hi to both him and I at Alex's Bar in Long Beach, Saturday, June 12th at 4 p.m. Pacific. And we will be streaming live from there too. So if you don't live there and you want to see what's going on and watch these auctions and hear these interviews live, hit that notification bell so you know when I'm going live. Thank you, Bruce.
Thanks, Bruce.
Thank you, guys. Thank you both so much.
The last time I think I went to Alex's Bar was, gosh, it had to be, I don't know, 25 years ago. It's the 25 years. That's a lie. I've been out many times since then. But
you weren't even in California 25 years ago.
I know. I had to back into that segue somehow. 25-year rule is interesting this week. Okay, I read the first 3 or 4 issues of this book when it came out, and I loved it. And then it went completely off the rails. That is Fantastic Four 2099.
Oh,
Issue 1. So Fantastic Four 2099 was by Carl Kessel and Rick Leonardi. Now, Carl Kessel is a very underrated writer. He did Superboy, a long run on Superboy that people love. He is very much that Mark Waid, Kurt Busiek, old school, loves Kirby and Lee, that kind of writer. And he drafted this really cool storyline where we find out that our Fantastic Four from our time suddenly appears in 2099 through the negative zone and has no idea what's going on, and they end up having to try to save humanity. Of course, keep in mind, Doom 2099 is hanging around in the 2099 universe already. It got off to a great start. You had Carl Kessel, you had Rick Leonardi. Rick Leonardi flakes after the first issue.
Oh,
not the first time he has done this to a book. So it kind of goes off the rails immediately. After issue 4 or so, Carl Kessel leaves the book and Ben Rabb starts writing it. It's like, what's going on, guys? As a result, this run only lasted 8 issues, but the first 4 are really fun. It had a chromium wraparound cover, so you knew it had to be good with chromium. But at this point in 1996, the 2099 line as a whole was just limping along on its way towards cancellation. As a result, you can grab a full run of this 8-issue series on eBay for $25. It is not highly in demand. It is not something that people are specking on in any way, shape, or form, but it's fun. At least get those first 4 issues if you like good old-fashioned Fantastic Four storytelling. I remember reading reviews at the time where this was during Tom DeFalco and Paul Ryan's run on Fantastic Four, which was very hot or cold, depending on who you're talking to. And many reviews said, if you really want to read a good Fantastic Four story, go read 2099.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. No, the 2099 stories are interesting. Just in their placement in the Marvel universe. So I've never read this one, but I love me a nice chromium cover.
Yeah, just go digging in the dollar bins. I'm sure you'll find a few. All right, time for our underrated books of the week. Richard, what do you have first?
My first pick is kind of something I didn't realize was as underrated as it is until I was at a comic book convention. Well, convention is a bad way of putting it. Basically, two guys turn their garages into comic book venues for the weekend.
I love that.
Yeah, they do it every year. It's a great kind of mini show. You drive between the two houses. They've got the long boxes out and everything. And they had one book that I saw. This is Strange Tales number 170. Okay, this is Brother Voodoo on the cover. You see how much I paid for it? $30.
$30 for a 5.5.
5.5. That was before my 10% discount. Yeah, second appearance of Brother Voodoo. It is really, really affordable right now. Now we know Brother Voodoo is going to be appearing in the second Doctor Strange movie. It is a fair bet that his keys are going to go up in value as we see the trailer for that movie come. We see him in that trailer. And at the time, the Strange Tales 169 is his first appearance. And that book has had some serious value. And it has for a long, long time.
I had one.
It's a good book to own if you were smart enough to keep it. 170 is less well known. But to me, it's an opportunity. I mean, you could buy that book, obviously. A 5.5 is not a stellar copy, but still $30 is less than you would pay to get it slabbed today.
I was just say, who got it slabbed and paid to have it slabbed?
That's a good question. I personally don't know if I would have. But, you could find these books in maybe not dollar bins, but, the $5 bins or along those lines. Pick it up because whatever you're going to pay for it, if Brother Voodoo becomes a character that people put interest behind, you're going to make money on it. This is one of those opportunities that you can get in for a small amount of money, and you may double your money. Double $30 is $60. So I'm not going to retire on it, but still, it's a cool book, and it has an opportunity to be worth more than I paid for it, which is always a positive.
Brother Voodoo, problematic in 2021.
Marvel has been very culturally sensitive, so I trust them to implement him in a way that is not going to ruffle too many feathers. You're going to ruffle some because that's just the nature of some of these things. But I have faith that they're going to do him in a way that won't offend too many people.
I think it's important to note that Richard speaks for the entire Black community.
I do. I have my certification. Yes.
We have nominated you. I say that because I know they tried renaming him a few years ago. I think it was Dr. Voodoo or something like that. And I don't know. It's like a Pam Grier movie. It's like Shaft, don't with Brother Voodoo.
No, you can't. You can't. It's a fine line you have to walk, right? And I don't envy them for having to do it because you want to maintain the history of the character.
Yeah.
This is Brother Voodoo, but at the same time, you want to be sensitive to people and the way things have changed, especially in the last few years, Marvel has really paid attention to be inclusive, and I appreciate that personally. Number one, Miles Morales. So I have a feeling that they're going to be able to be able to carry it off and make it so that people actually not only support the character but look forward to the next time they see that character.
It's an interesting time in Marvel's history. 1973, they had 3 ongoing titles with African American characters. You had Power Man, you had, of course, the Black Panther and Jungle Action, and you had Strange Tales with Brother Voodoo. So, is that 2 more than they have now?
Yeah, that's
You
interesting.
You have Miles and Black Panther.
Yeah. All publishers are, we've got Milestone coming back.
Yeah.
Which I think is really cool for DC, and they're bringing Static Shock back, and so we'll have there's being a resurgence of African American characters, and it's great. And I've always said, I wish when I was growing up that there were more African American characters to emulate. Kids today have Miles, and I would have loved at the time to have an African American Spider-Man.
Right.
So yeah, it's exciting to me because I see it as opportunities for people who have not seen faces that look like them to all of a sudden be able to see those faces and be able to. I never want to say use a role model as a comic book hero, but at least be able to see themselves and reflected in what they see in the movies.
Representation is important. I didn't mean to get heavy on you out of the blue.
No. It's an important topic, and being the representative for all of Black people, it's something that I'm often asked.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm glad they're supporting the Ducks out there with Howard the Duck titles. So thank you for that. My underrated book is I can't believe this book is this cheap. It's one of those books. That is Wolverine number 23 from the 1988 series. This features what should be a classic cover, what should be considered a classic cover by John Byrne. It is so cool. It is nearly all black, however. The cover, this makes it a toughie and high grade. It picks up everything, thumbprints, minor imperfections. But 9.8s of this book are under $100, which is a bargain, I think. And just this whole Archie Goodwin, John Byrne run, I think it's from 17 to 23, is so severely underrated. It's a really cool story. It's John Byrne and Claus Janson art. Woo, love it. And it's a really it takes the book in a different direction than Claremont and Buscema had started. You get rid of Patch immediately, and it's just, here's Wolverine. This is what you wanted from a Wolverine solo. Right. Sorry we made you sit around for 16 issues, but here you go. So Wolverine 23, I think when you guys see this cover, you'll get what I mean, and you can go hunting for it because I think you're going to be looking for a while. It's a tough one in grade.
I think this whole series is so underrated. You've got the value in the limited series, the 4-issue limited series that has Frank Miller. That will always have the major value when it comes to Wolverine specific titles. But the Wolverine, the regular series has so many really good stories in there. I have a feeling when Wolverine comes, not if, but when Wolverine comes back or comes into the MCU and mutants as well, people will start to see value in these books, just like people are seeing values in G.I. Joe, odd issues of G.I. Joe. I think we're going to see people cherry picking the really good books out of this series.
Well, issue 1 is finally getting its due. It's selling in 9.8 for hundreds of dollars. The reason why, I think, is because the back cover is a John Byrne drawn Wolverine classic cover that's on the half black on the spine.
Yeah. Oh,
great.
Yeah.
So
that's a tough book.
Yeah, another example of it. All black John Byrne drawn cover. So start the hunt, people.
What was going through their minds coming up with these black covers?
They look great on the stands. It jumps out at you. It really does. So I can't blame them. The goal was to get you to pick it up and get it in your bag and get it home and read it and put your greasy, grimy thumbs all over it. What was wrong with you?
Yeah, not take it from the store and slide it into its plastic wrap and never opening it.
Exactly, hermetically seal it. Well, we're going to go hermetically seal ourselves until our bonus episode later this week. Make sure you're following us. Where, Richard?
At Bronze and Modern Gods on Facebook and Instagram, or bronzeandmoderngods.com, the website.
Yes, and like this video, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. It helps us out. We really appreciate it, and we will see you later this week.
Yeah, everybody stay safe.